People, have a listen to what Trump is now saying about the undocumented workers that he has deported, now that farmers are crying and going bankrupt. The very same people he called criminals. Trump is now begging them, please, please, please come back. Please, our farmers need you. Man, you couldn't make this stuff up.
It's happening. They get rid of some. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something.
Trump went on Fox News and basically said, we shouldn't have kicked the immigrants out. The farmers ain't got nobody. The inner city people ain't gonna do it, so we need to bring them back. Sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on. We're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, that you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that. Damn right, the people in the inner city ain't doing that work. He basically thought he was going to deport everybody and then we was going to go back in those fields. What the hell this man was thinking? Those days is over and they ain't coming back. He want to think about bringing the immigrants back because farmers are struggling. You should have thought about that beforehand. You already knew these people wasn't gonna survive because you took away they people to help run their shit. He doubling down and he want them to come back legally. But get the fuck out of here.
Trump said migrant farm workers can stay with their owners, but they'll never get citizenship. Farmers can vouch for them like property, keep them working, but when they're done, they'll be disposable, and they'll never get citizenship. At the same time, Trump's agriculture secretary says they'll keep deporting thousands of Latino farm workers. No amnesty, no legal status. So who's going to pick the crops? Send 34 million Americans on Medicaid to the fields. The same people who've never picked a strawberry are suddenly working 12-hour shifts in 100-degree heat for $8 an hour? Be serious. They're firing the people who feed America and replacing them with robots and poor Americans. But this was never about the workers. It's about power. It's about control. If farm workers stay without rights and poor Americans are forced to work the fields, who wins? This is Trump's America. Cheap labor, no rights, total control.
So my good sis J-Doll says she wants to see the clip. She said, let me see the clip. Ask and you shall receive.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so now that you have actually heard the clip, that you've heard the recording for yourself, let's actually break down exactly what Donald Trump has said so far. He started off that clip or that recording stating, how, they have policies and plan of trying to help the farmers, right? Because they desperately need these migrant workers. They need these undocumented migrant workers. They can't leave them without anybody. That right there is admission that the United States agriculture economy is taking a hit behind his policies and his mass deportations. That's the first thing. Donald Trump stresses the fact that the American farmers cannot be left without anybody. They cannot be left without anybody. And then he further goes on by saying that the undocumented migrant workers that he once was calling illegal criminals are very, very special people. They're very, very special people that cannot be easily replaced. Right after Donald Trump makes that statement and say that they cannot be replaced easily, he goes right into stating that people, inner city people, are not doing that work. Words have meanings, okay? When it comes to this government and this American society, when they say inner people, they're referring to black people. And when he said that kind of work, he's talking about field work. In addition to him stating that inner city people will not be doing that kind of work, he goes on by saying that I've tried, we've tried, everybody's tried. Do you know who everybody is? The American government, white supremacy. And do you want to know what their version of trying was? DEI eliminations. DEI eliminations. And not just that, but the undoing of so many policies and acts that actually allowed for black people to have equal footing amongst white people in certain areas, in certain spaces. The elimination of DEI programs and incentives were intended to push black people out of the spaces that white people deemed should only be for them. And I'm talking about admin jobs. I'm talking about jobs in medicine, in accounting. They wanted black people to go back to back-breaking work, okay? Being in the fields, hospitality work. That's what they wanted. As of right now, 300,000 women have been displaced from employment, okay? They have lost their jobs. And they thought, and when I say they, this white supremacy American government thought that those 300,000 black women were going to go back into the field. Instead, they got creative. They got creative. And so with all of these mass deportations, they thought that they were going to be able to fill the roles with their original laborers, okay? Their labor workers, black people. Now, see, if there's only two things that you take from this video, the first thing that I want you to take away is the fact that America's success is directly dependent on its labor, free labor, an amount of free labor that they're able to exploit from the citizens, okay? And the second thing is that black Americans will always be their first target. That will always be their first target. When they think about getting free labor, exploited free labor, they will always think of black Americans. Do you understand the level of hatred, jealousy, animosity that you have to have, that this American Constitution has to have to literally pick at one group of people forever, to the point where they are willing to wipe out all other races to try to get this one race of people to bow down, and they refuse. They refuse. You guys, America, had labor that you were already exploiting, but you were willing to get rid of them in mass deportations, all because you wanted to push black people out of those offices. You wanted to push them out of those doctor coats and those labs. You wanted to push them out of those research trials. You wanted them to be in the field. So you got rid of the migrant workers that were here that you were already exploiting, because if that's one thing that America knows how to do, is exploit some fucking labor. You already had it, but you got rid of them, hoping that you can force black people back into those positions. And now because black people said, let it all fucking burn. Let it all fucking burn. Before you come and get me, let it all burn. Now that black people have actually said that and stood on that, you guys are realizing how fucked you really are. White supremacy, white American supremacy is realizing how fucked they really are. Because how many black people do you know was opening up their mouth to say that, yeah, these immigrants, these migrant workers are taking our jobs? Not one black person. Not one black person said that. And by the way, that's what they meant when they were saying black jobs. Hospitality, cleaning people's homes, taking care of people's kids, picking berries. That's what they wanted as black jobs. They don't want us to be engineers. They don't want us to be doctors. They don't want us to be comedians. They don't want us to be anything. They don't want us to do nothing but work for them. And now because of America's racism and all you MAGA supporters that went and voted in hopes of making America great again, which really means white people in the office, black people in the fields. All right? You guys are actually really realizing how much you fucked yourselves over. You really fucked yourselves over. Racism is expensive. It's really fucking expensive. They say that with each great empire comes a great fall. And it looks like America's on its way.
Trump got his bad built, orange skin having, cankles, swollen body, ignorant ass, don't know what 2 + 2 is ass on Fox News, and had the audacity to say that the inner city people are not taking the jobs that he kicked the immigrants out that were doing. We all know what he meant by inner city. He meant black. That's why he said they was taking black people's jobs. That's why he said that. That's what that meant. It was no way in hell that black people was getting out in those fields and doing that work. Absolutely fucking not. We will let that shit rot on the vine. Do you understand me? We will never have a mixed salad, a mixed fruit salad at the cookout ever again. We was never going to do it. And now you want to rethink. First off, immigrants pay into the system, even though they cannot receive anything out of the system. So you're hurting farmers, you're hurting the economy, which you're doing right now anyway, because they pay into the system, but they don't get anything out of it. Billions of dollars. Billions. Now all of a sudden you want to bring them back. Now you want to do some type of immigration fixture, which this country should have been done, because it's damn near impossible to get legal status. They send you through all kind of stuff. And people who was able to do it, it took them 15, 20 years. That's ridiculous. But now you want to ask them people to come back to work in the field because the farmers are now complaining? They should have thought about that before they voted for your stupid ass. You should have thought about that. They should have thought about it, and you should have thought about it. But you truly ignorant, so you don't have a thought in your fucking head. You have some fucking audacity to do that. And if I was them, if they come back, I will charge out the ass to do that work. You need to be asking for what you are worth doing that type of work. Because you got some fucking nerve. Think black people was ever finna go out there and do it. So to those who come back in here, you better charge their ass what you worth. Make them pay, because they should have been paying. You go kiss our ass, and to the ones coming back, you tell them to kiss your ass too.
If you're a Trump supporter, just know that there are 4 things that everybody who's not a Trump supporter thinks about you, and so far you've done nothing to disprove these things. 1, you're uneducated. And I don't mean uneducated in the sense that you didn't go to school and learn to read or do basic arithmetic. I mean you're uneducated as far as what's going on in the world. You got goggles on, only paying attention to what you want to pay attention to. Dose, you lack empathy. You don't care what happens to somebody else as long as it doesn't happen to you. Imagine for a moment the government started saying, hey, your marriage is illegal. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? But you don't care that it's happening to gay people as long as it doesn't happen to you. 3, you lack independent thinking skills, meaning you are incapable of forming your own thoughts, opinions, or viewpoints on things. You need pundit talking points from Fox News or whatever, that other OAN. You need those people to tell you what to believe. You don't have the ability to look into those claims and maybe think something else. It's confirmation bias. You live in this bubble and you refuse to step outside of it. 4, and I think this is the most important one. I think this is the one you really need to work on if you have the ability, and that is critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to look at a situation and say to yourself, you know what, that's kind of fucked up. That's not right, and you can't do that. So I look forward to all the laughing emoji reactions to this video, because the people that I just made these claims about don't have the ability to defend themselves. So they do so just with the laughing emoji. So fire away.
This to me is like, you voted for him, and now you're seeing the true colors. Now you want people to feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for you, man. I don't feel sorry for you at all. You knew this was going to happen, and now you want people to pity party. Nah. This is your issue. Now you're going to have to actually work. I don't give a F. You wanted Trump. You advocated for Trump. Now you got what you wanted. Now enjoy your next 4 years, because it's only going to get worse.
Well, that plan failed. You know, that plan to get those from the inner city. He means black people, by the way, to go back to doing field work. Black people said, nope, we ain't going back there. If I was an immigrant that was deported, I'd really think about coming back. Trump has also stated things like farmers owning or being responsible for their workers. Sounds like slavery 4.0 again here. Since MAGA voted for DJT, let them work those fields. Make it make sense, though. Where did he get the idea that inner city people would travel to red states to work on their farms? I thought MAGA said the immigrants were taking their jobs. So why are they not in the fields? Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. See you in the next one.